Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Orbital Platform, where I am simultaneously Golden Nova and Crest Knight from the hit online live play series Dimension Chasers. Let's go ahead and fix that by collapsing the quantum state, and we're back, folks. Good to see all of you again. Today we're playing more Tyrion Cuthbert. Sorry for the lateness on this one. I was wrapping up today's video, which is now live. You can see Layer of Darkness explained right now. And I'm hoping to have another video hammered out by tomorrow evening to release on Friday, so that we can have a week where I release 2 actual videos. Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be wild if Nova actually did his goddamn job for once? That would be silly. I also made the decision while I was running ads to go get like an ice cream cone from the fridge, and I'm gonna find it difficult to voice the game and eat ice cream cones. So we're gonna see how all of this goes. I hope everyone's having a fantastic evening. Yeah, I'm gonna eat this for a little bit, and then we can hang out for a bit, and then we'll play. So hope you're having fun. Where of darkness can you see layer of darkness? Right there of darkness. Wire. Wire of darkness. They're always asking where the darkness. No one asks why. Made a bit of headway into Common Rider Geats this week. As I've been getting really into it. I'm on episode 12 right now. It's on the upswing. I've had some dud episodes. There's some that I just did not vibe with, but 12 was a highlight for me because we got back a character that had been missing for a bit. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a Toku head yet. I haven't been bit. This is just like a good show that I'm watching. We'll see where that goes. Alright. Little game. Courthouse, baby. Let's get rid of all of our unsaved progress here at the title screen. Oh no. Oh, it's everywhere. A crunchy cone. Alright. Riga, you okay? Ha! Do you even need to ask? Of course I'm not okay. This place is crawling with knights and nobles. I understand your reservations, but there's nothing to worry about. You're just here to watch the trial. I really appreciate you coming to testify, Miss Tudor. A hat, big hat. Big hat that will put Logan to shame. So, have we met the murderer? Do we have a reasonable expectation that we might have met the murderer yet? Or the Phantom Thief? What? My apologies. Perhaps I've said too much. Let's just get this over with. Get ordered. Court is now in session for the trial of Stephanic Dracogen. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is also ready. Very well. Prosecutor Steelwind, could you please list the charges? Stephanic Dracogen is the owner of the Dracogen Trading Company, located in the city of Aranax. His company has many business ventures in Oranax and Wraithholm, but his business is most known for the production of artificery devices. I've almost certainly met the culprit at this point, but I don't know who. I'm trying to think because, like, it happened in broad daylight. So I don't know. I'm kind of clueless here. I thought I recognized the name. I'm quite pleased with my Dracogen brand dishwasher. This world is so funny. This world is so funny. You have Farmingville. It's like medieval technology and dress most places. It's like, oh yeah, I've got a dishwasher. You know. Be that as it may, Your Honor, Mr. Drakegen is charged with criminal negligence resulting in death. The accident occurred within the Oranax Arcane Refinery, owned by his company. The victim, Justin Way, still, once again, fantastic name, leaned against a damaged guardrail, causing it to break. As a result, he fell into a vat of volatile chemicals. Attempts were made to save him, but by the time they could neutralize the vat, he was already dead. It has to be like a fake out. Justin is like the Phantom guy. That has to be it. They're faking their own deaths to cover their tracks. The defendant displayed clear negligence in maintaining the refinery's facilities. As such, the responsibility of Mr. Wayne's death falls squarely on his shoulders. I don't fucking think so, buddy. Your Honor, the case isn't nearly as mundane as the prosecution is making it out to be. Justin Way didn't fall into that vat because of a faulty guardrail. He fell because he was pushed off the catwalk by an arcane spell. Mr. Cuthbert, are you trying to say that the victim was murdered? One of the witnesses claims that they saw a spell hit Mr. Way before he fell into the vat. However, that testimony is completely contradicted by the lack of magical traces found anywhere near the catwalk. Except there were magical traces present at the time of Justin's death, Steelwind. This leather strap was dropped by the victim shortly before his death. If you were to scan it, you'll find traces of conjuration magic on it. A spell could have been cast on that strap prior to Justin entering the refinery. There's no evidence to suggest that the spell was cast within the refinery. May I remind you that Justin Way was a commoner? Why would he possess something with a magical trace on it? I could think of a myriad of reasons, and none of them implied that this case was a homicide. I must agree, Mr. Cuthbert. That seems like quite the leap in logic. What would motivate anyone to commit such an act against Mr. Way anyway? Because any way you slice it, there's no way I'm going to let you get past me on this case. That's simple, Your Honor. Mr. Way was killed because he spotted the mist-weaving phantom mid-robbery. Tyrion's just laying it all out right at the beginning. We are not letting, we're not doing any build-up. We're not setting up any tension or breadcrumbs. We're going right to the heart of the matter. Mist-weaving phantom? It is the moniker of the serial robber who just happened to rob the Arcane Refinery the morning of Mr. Way's death. However, those thefts have no bearing on this case. How can you be so sure? It's not as if the Phantom has been apprehended. We don't know their motive. Even so, the only evidence that supports your theory is a small leather strap and Miss Tudor's testimony. If you're so confident, Steelwind, why don't we bring said witness onto the stand so she can testify herself? Fine. Let's hear what she has to say. But I'm sure you know that even she has no idea what she saw. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. She seemed to be okay, but she looked pretty nervous in the lobby. I only hope that this wouldn't be too much for her. You seek the title of the Deathbringer Songstress? Scaled Lord, was she seriously going to do that here? What? I lie between life and death, heaven and hell. None are worthy of my name, so consider this a courtesy. I am Mosarika Tudor, Mage of Evocation and the Ashen Lord of Oranax. I wasn't aware that our kingdom had such a title. The world has really changed a lot in recent years. Your Honor, the witness is a business owner in Oranax. She runs a cafe. Why would the Ashen Lord of Oranax run a cafe? I ask myself that same question every day. Rika, could you please not do this right now? It helps me cope, okay? Miss Tudor, could you please testify about what you saw at the refinery that morning? And I think we could all do without the verbal flourishes. Fine. I was delivering food to Justin that morning, but I didn't see him anywhere in the freight area. I went looking for him and spotted him on the catwalk. He looked like he was talking to someone. That's when I saw a flash of magical light. Justin got blasted with a spell. It ripped apart the guardrail he was leaning on, and he fell into that vat of chemicals. I told one of the workers what happened. They tried to save him, but I guess it was too late. I'm sure Mr. Cuthbert has told you this, witness, but we didn't find any traces of magic near the catwalk. I know what I saw. Someone definitely used magic on him. She seemed very sure of that. She definitely wasn't lying, but I still couldn't figure out why there weren't any traces of magic there. And there was something off about something she said, but I wasn't sure what. A clown with terrible spelling wanted to prove Way was one bad day away from being just like it. I can't believe they shot the count in the spine like that. Just when the judge is taking the piss. Honestly, I just like playing along. These youngsters always think I'm some kind of senile old fool. This'll show them. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Okay, I've got a controller. I should be using that now that I'm unburdened by a cone. I was delivering food to Justin that morning, but I didn't see anything anywhere in the freight. Is he normally in the freight area when you make your deliveries? Yeah, but I guess he was doing something in the refinery. According to Dracogen, the victim only worked in the freight department. He definitely wasn't doing his job when he was in the refinery building. Do you have any idea why he was there? I don't know. He didn't talk much about what he did, so I assumed he was supposed to be there. Did you see who he was talking to? No, they were too high up, and the catwalk was blocking them. But he looked kind of angry. He also looked a little scared. What? Do you think he was talking to the thief? He might have spotted them robbing my client's office. This is purely speculation on your part, Mr. Cuthbert. At the very least, you'd need a witness to even entertain that theory. And the current witness didn't see who the victim was talking to. I'm compelled to agree, Miss Steelwind. Have you been able to figure out what kind of spell he got hit with? No. I've been thinking, but I've never seen a spell like that. My expertise is in evocation magic, and that spell looks completely different from the spell I can cast. No spells. May I remind the court that the Inquisition found no trace of evocation magic at the scene of Mr. Way's death. An evocation couldn't have ripped that guardrail apart. Which can only mean that a spell from a different school of magic broke it. Okay, so that's an actual typo on the game's part, not just me misspeaking. And it's a typo that happened that wasn't involving Illusion Girl. So I think all of those typos might have actually been for real. Or the witness is simply grieving and doesn't remember what happened. We have records that show that the guardrail was damaged and in need of repair. What the I pressed the square button. It looked like it did like a side shift. My client's contractors assured him that the damage wasn't severe, yet the guardrail broke apart anyway. If you want to posit that a spell broke the guardrail, you'll have to prove it. What is going on here? What is happening? Huh? Text log, settings, graphics, input, workshop. Oh, okay, that's cool. Character emotes. Let's do instant, I guess. Now, as long as we're changing stuff in here, just mess with the I think we're going back to the title on this one. This is actively unplayable. This is actively what is that? What is happening? Save the game. Save, yeah, overwrite that. Load. Let's like load from here, maybe. Okay. Her testimony is the best piece of evidence we have. Is it really a good idea to find a contradiction in it? Even she doesn't know what happened, and there's something nagging at me. If I can find it, it will put us one step closer to the truth. If you say so. I would just need to look at the details she's testifying about and find out what doesn't fit. Okay, let's try this one more time. He looked like he was talking to someone. Flash of light. Justin got blasted by a spell. Have you been able to figure out what kind of spell he got hit with? No, I've been thinking, but I've never seen a spell like that. Do we... Okay, so we have seen this one. Okay. Eris stole the words. That a reality bender! I know this must be difficult for you, but can you remember any more details about the moment Justin fell? I guess I'd need to know what details you want. Okay, what did the spell look like? How did the spell affect Justin? How did the spell affect the guardrail? So we know that it tore it apart. How did the spell look? How did the spell affect Justin? I think what the spell looks like. What did the spell look like? Any details might help us identify it. I don't know. I only saw it for a second. It didn't look like an explosion or anything. It kind of looked more like an expanding prism. A prism? Yeah, it had really sharp edges like a cube, but it was wider than it was tall. Okay. Witness, could you add this detail to your testimony? Okay. A magical expanding prism ripped apart the guardrail he was leaning on, and he fell into a vat of chemicals. How did they try to save him? The chemicals that the victim fell into were extremely volatile and corrosive. They poured the neutralizing solution into the vat to keep it from eating away at any implement they used to fish him out. The downside of the process was that it took far too long before they could remove the victim. I thought those chemicals were just toxic. Are you telling me those dissolved him while he was still alive? I winced. I really wanted to avoid letting her find out about that. Perhaps we should move on. The murder weapon was geometry, not geometry. The heinousness. Okay, so this has to be what we're working on here, because if we press it again, it's just going to ask us to change it. Okay, so spell. We have nothing with spells, and we got the people here. Oh, Justin Way. We do have image of them. Okay, neat. I'm not sure whether toxic or caustic would be a worse way to die. I choose not to speculate on it. I don't think it's necessary. Okay, so the expanding prism, it's not the box, but I guess this isn't a box. It's the stolen shipments. A thief known stole a dangerous shipment from the Imperial ship the morning of Justin's death. The King's Guard have set up a blockade and prevented anyone from traveling in and out of Ornax. They seem to be making note of everyone in the city. Is there anything in the shipping report? Foreign books, unknown, construct, bronze, lens, jewels. Okay, nothing. Barreled wine. Well, no. For a second, I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of like not a prism, but it's like cylinder-esque shaped, and if you turn a barrel on its side, then it would be wider than it is tall. But they didn't take any barreled wine. They took the exotic jewels, so there's nothing on that end that I can think of. Shape of an expanding prism. That doesn't seem to do anything with anything, right? Died of dissolution. Justin's ring, wearing the ring at the time of death, somehow wasn't dissolved by the molten aetherite in the vat. Do we have a picture of Justin way after the incident? Yeah, this ring. That's it. Justin was holding the leather strap before he fell into the vat of magical chemicals. It has VI engraved at the end of it. It's covered in traces of conjuration magic. I don't know if any of this actually... I think we might need to investigate the other ones because this is not working out. What did the spell do to Justin? How did it affect him? After the flash of light, it looked like he lost his balance. He tried to catch himself on the guardrail, but it was already broken apart. He fell right into the vat of chemicals. Witness, could you add those details to your testimony? It ripped apart the guardrail he was leaning on. After that, he tried to catch himself on it and fell into the vat of chemicals. I'm not still so sure about that one. We gotta check the other one. So, what did the spell do to the guardrail? Like I said, it ripped it apart the guardrail. How did it do that, though? Did the spell slowly break it apart? No, it happened instantly. It was kind of like what happened when you pull a rubber band so hard that it snaps. So the spell broke the guardrail instantly. It must have been some kind of instantaneous effect. But we already knew that there wasn't any trace of evocation on the catwalk, so what kind of spell did the mage use? Witness, could you add this detail to your testimony? It violently and instantly ripped apart the guardrail he was leaning on. He fell into that vat of chemicals. Violently and instantly, but it was a slowly expanding prism that did the thing. Oh man, are we hitting another freaking block right now? Because we have Zippo spells. Ain't no way people is gonna be our thing with this. It can't be. I am positive, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that that is the case. The bone. Look at the bones. Masuoka Rika tutor. Masuoka Rika. Wow, I'm going. Moso Rika. I'm still tripping over that one. I have no clue how to pronounce that. Rika tutor was delivering Justin's breakfast to him, but she couldn't find him in the freight area. She went looking for him and spotted him on the catwalk within the refinery. She saw Justin get blasted with some sort of spell that took the shape of an expanding prism. The spell destroyed the guardrail of the catwalk and pushed Justin into the vat. Like, this is what is tripping me up here, because apparently the it's pronounced Muzu rhythm. Come on now. Apparently it simultaneously destroyed the rail of the catwalk without destroying anything else, but was also an expanding prism. But why would it expand if it was instantaneous? I don't know. We're gonna hit it with this one and see what happens. Yeah, nothing here. Blah 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 blah. I guess you're right. So a flash of magical light. Justin got blasted with a spell. We can try changing this and then just keep working with the testimony on that one, because I'm having difficulty thinking of anything else that would be relevant for any of this. Yeah, so it's not the first one. Thank you for making it so I don't have to save scum. I think it was nice that they made it so we didn't have to save scum all this stuff. Bloody 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 blah bloody 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 blah. This also could just be a red herring. That would also be it. Okay, this was it. Okay, we brute forced our way through it. I had a feeling that was one of them. Rika, there's something off about your testimony. Really? It's the same as what I told you before. The mistake was mine. I was so focused on trying to figure out what the spell was and who cast it, I didn't even think about what it actually did to Justin. The whole time, we assumed that the spell pushed him into the vat. But how could it have pushed him into the vat if he only flew after the guardrail had been ripped apart? What? Rika, you said that Justin fell because he tried to catch himself on the guardrail. I thought the spell had pushed Justin while simultaneously ripping the guardrail apart, but it didn't push Justin at all. I guess that makes sense, but does that really change anything? It does, because it raises another question. If the spell produced enough force to rip the guardrail apart, why didn't it appear to affect Justin at all? It didn't appear to affect the victim because there was no spell. Justin Wade broke the guardrail because it was faulty. No, I saw it. He only fell in because the guardrail was already destroyed. Your Honor, the defense brought this witness to testify only to contradict it during their own cross-examination. They have no case. My witness is certain that she saw a spell destroy the guardrail. Your witness is a business associate of the defendant. She clearly has every reason to lie in her testimony. So are you basically accusing my witness of perjury, Steelwind? I happen to note that all of your witnesses have committed it far more than any of mine. I am. It's not as if this is her first time breaking the law. What? Miss Tudor, I understand that you run a cafe in the food district. This cafe would not exist without the generous patronage of the defendant. Yes, but you must feel quite indebted to him. After all, he saved you from the kind of life you lived before. Rika, what is she talking about? You truly didn't know, Mr. Cuthbert? Before your witness ran her cafe, she had another vocation. She survived by robbing the shipments coming into Oranax Harbor. Ooh. Rika, that's not true, is it? So many things changed after you left, Tyrion. Several years ago, Miss Tudor was part of a band of thieves who would frequently rob shipments addressed to Von Sanctus Industries. Her group was eventually arrested, but she only avoided a sentence to the dungeon by taking a plea deal. Okay. Oh my god. Did she seriously do all of that in the years I was gone? I knew her. I grew up with her. Had things really changed that much? Even so, the defense still maintains trust in the witness's testimony. I believe the mist-weaving phantoms struck the refinery that morning. They attacked Justin Way with magic. Is that so? And how do you know that the current witness isn't this phantom? What? She was coincidentally present when the robbery occurred, and she's a registered mage. Not to mention that her little gang all those years ago used that same name. What? I'd always thought that nickname sounded too much like something she'd come up with. Was she seriously involved with them? I thought you never backed down from a foe, Mr. Cuthbert. You could make a great case for your client being by indicting Miss Tudor in the robberies and subsequently the victim's death. What will you do? No. There could be any number of explanations for what was happening. Urban myths tended to be distorted by the public. It's possible people have just been calling this thief the Mist-Weaving Phantom because of the similarities between the robberies. The defense has no further questions for the witness. She is dismissed. Your Honor, she was a stylish villain. I move to have this case dismissed on the grounds that she slayed. There was no trail of breadcrumbs for us to follow because she ate and left no crumbs. I thought you were more objective than that. I don't care what she's done in the past. I know my friend, and I know she's not a murderer. Clearly, what happened that morning was the result of simple negligence. Your Honor, for our next witness, the prosecution would like to call Orm White to the stand. Very well. Bailiff, please call the Inquisition Commander to the stand. What's up? Commander, as I'm sure you've heard, Mr. Cuthbert is trying to connect the accident to the robberies of the Mist-Weaving Phantom. Please testify about the City Watch's findings regarding the robberies. Sure. I guess. So this Phantom's been hitting a lot of places, mostly shipments coming into the harbor. Doesn't matter what kind of lock or security the place has, he can get in no problem. He made off with a bunch of loot, and the City Watch has been scratching their heads looking for him. I know you think the guy hit the refinery too, but it doesn't match with what we know about him. The guy only stole some documents and left the defendant's gold. This guy never does that. The connection between the Mist-Weaving Phantom and Justin's death was already difficult to prove. There was no evidence, but they had to be related somehow. It would be too much of a coincidence otherwise. How could I prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright, Orm. Let's face off one more time, you old bastard. What's usually stolen? All kinds of things. Goods, appliances, weapons, even some artificery devices. Not to mention there's that. To amend the commander's testimony, there was a sensitive shipment stolen from a kingdom ship. Is there a reason why you're being so vague, Miss Steelwind? The gag order has come from the Grand General himself. The item in question is not relevant to this case. Unless it's exactly relevant. I see. Why are you referring to the Phantom as a he? I thought the city you watched didn't know anything about them. Are you seriously nitpicking me for that? I just think it would be in the court's interest not to have assumptions taken as fact. Scaled Lord, you kids these days and your... I just think that if a mage is registered as a particular kind of magic user, I don't know, it just seems weird that you would go around saying that you're an evocation wizard when it clearly says on your ID that you do conjuration. It's like, it's not natural. Look, chances are that this guy's a guy. The stats back me up on that. The stats. Look, eyewitness accounts give us a rough estimate of the target's skull, so by using phrenology, we know that it's a superior alpha male. Oh yeah? How many of your men did it take to arrest me, Orem? Celeste, well, I appreciate your sentiment. I wouldn't brag about that here. Fine. If it'll get you all off my back, I'll change my damned testimony. Doesn't matter what kind of locker security, they can get it, no problem. Please tell me that's important. Please, I need that to be important. For being loose with terminology, use they going forward. Yeah. Do we have a different press here? See, was that so hard? Oh, bite me, bitch. I bet you have spells and pronouns, you you liberal cucks. Anyway, how sophisticated were the locks and the security on the places they were broken into? The places owned by the smaller merchants only had mundane locks. Those are hard to pick, but not impossible for someone who knows what they're doing. But they've also been hitting the ships owned by nobles, not to mention that other ship I'm not allowed to discuss. They've got magical locks and security. Picking those would be like performing surgery. That's not even mentioning all the armed guards they probably had to get past. Whoever they are, they're some kind of genius. Are they really having that much trouble identifying the thief? They're good at covering their tracks. They don't leave any evidence, and they never trip any alarms. Half the time, it's like they're disappearing into thin air. Could the Phantom be a mage proficient in conjuration magic? They could be teleporting to bypass any security altogether. Maybe, but most security systems are designed to detect and block teleportation inside. You can't teleport inside unless you already have some kind of magical beacon already in the place. Not to mention that the locks leading inside were obviously picked and unlocked. If anything, these systems don't prevent teleportation out of its field. So maybe they're using conjuration magic to get out. But I doubt a place like the Arcane Refinery would have a system as sophisticated as that. How so? The thief has been robbing a lot of merchant ships. Some of them even belong to Von Sanctus Industries. Places like the Arcane Refinery probably have some gold. The owner even mentioned he had some coins in the safe that got broken into. But all that is below this Phantom's pay grade. Some of the things the Phantom stole were worth 10 times the amount of gold in that safe. That's not even mentioning the fact that... I know you think the person hit the refinery too. This person never does. If anyone's nouns are pro, it should be the old man. There are people in this room who are young enough that their nouns are amateurs. The existence of pronouns implies the existence of competitive nouns, and I need the highest tier now. Sometimes information can be more valuable than gold, Commander. Maybe, but I don't think our guy would risk so much for a couple of business documents. Your client might have some enemies, but the Phantom's good enough to hit the merchant ships guarded by armed soldiers. Every time they hit a place, they run the risk of getting caught. The theft happened this morning when the refinery was already open. Employees were already on the ground, too. Anyone could have spotted them. It just doesn't make sense for the Phantom to take a risk like that for so little gain. I'm too pessimistic for pronouns. I'm con now. I've con nouns. The downside of pronouns is being known and perceived, and I can't have that. His argument is a little weak. I doubt the theft at the refinery was just a coincidence. But he has a point. The serial robber never leaves any evidence. There's nothing to tie him to the theft that morning. Okay, so the Phantom's been hitting a lot of places, mostly shipments coming into the harbor. Doesn't matter what kind of locker security the place has, they can get in no problem. They made off with a bunch of loot, and the city watch has been scratching their heads looking for him. I know you think the person hit the refinery too, but it doesn't match with what they know about them. The thief who hit the refinery only stole some documents and left the defendant's gold. Okay, so what are our options here, Chief? What are our options here, Chief? Okay, so there's supposed tensions between the Workers' Union and Ornax and the Stefanik Dracogen. However, this has been denied by the union head of the refinery workplace, Noah Morrison. Noah Morrison is the harbor master of Ornax Harbor and a close friend of the family. The shipping amount... This seems to support it because there's some pretty valuable things in here. Maybe not running off with the fine linens and silk is one thing, but I guess those are processed goods, and things like bronze and jewels can be like raw materials for things. Arrested insurrectionists. Within the last few months, there have been an increased amount of Ornax citizens who have been arrested for treason. The Mistweaving Phantom seems to be robbing these individuals. By doing so, they've been bringing the City Watch's attention to them. The Mistweaving Phantom. There is a thief who calls themselves the Mistweaving Phantom. They've been expertly robbing several merchant ships that were resting in Ornax Harbor. They've also been breaking into magically secured offices of the Workers' Union and stealing administrative documents. They also broke into Stefanik Dracogen's office near the catwalk where Justin Way fell from. They didn't steal the gold inside the safe, but they took the business documents inside. Lastly, they also targeted individuals who have been plotting against the king. No one ever spots them, and they never leave any evidence behind, hence the name. The Mistweaving Phantom might be it with like a particular one. The person never does this. Yeah, it's got to be this one because they do that several times. Commander, it's clear you think the Phantom wouldn't have gone to all that trouble to steal a few business records. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. This person has enough skills to break into heavily guarded buildings. Why would they bother with some business records? That's where you're wrong, Orem. Kid, why do you always have to do this to me? There's another series of thefts where nothing inherently valuable was taken. The Mistweaving Phantom also broke into many of the offices owned by the workers' unions. Again, you're assuming that the Phantom broke into said offices. It's entirely plausible that a refinery employee who was a part of the union stole from both of these offices. A union member may have been able to access a client's office, but they wouldn't have such an easy time entering the union offices. Many of the unions have anticipated sabotage and have invested in state-of-the-art security systems. They've taken precautions to make sure that only high-ranking officials have access to these documents. There's only one person with the skills to break into these locations, and that's the same thief who's been robbing those ships in the Ornax Harbor. And what possible motive would the Phantom have to steal these documents? That's simple. They wanted detailed information on my client's company and the workers' unions. In all of your wild speculation, I think you haven't considered one possibility, Mr. Cuthbert. And what's that? That the unions themselves were the ones who robbed your client. You said it yourself. Only high-ranking executives had access to the union documents that went missing, and none of these executives knew any spell that could rip apart the guardrail. None of them were even mages. That's ridiculous. Why would the workers' union rob themselves? Simple. They wanted to cover their tracks and play the victim when they were the true culprits. After all, we have several reports confirming hostility between your client and the workers' union. I think you'll find that those reports are exaggerated, if not entirely false. My client and Noah Morrison can testify to that fact. They obviously would. An employee just died due to your client's negligence. Mr. Drakeagen has every reason to feign amicability with the unions. It would avoid further outrage. And Noah Morrison has no choice but to do the same, lest he be incriminated in the thefts himself. And what proof do you have that they aren't telling the truth? As I've said, I have several reports from many different individuals. They came from multiple, diverse sources, and they all paint a very vivid picture of aggression between your client and the unions. Furthermore, they are far less biased than Stefanik Drakeagen or Noah Morrison. She had a point, and I couldn't claim the reports were false without any proof. If you want to implicate Mr. Morrison, I think it's only fair that he be allowed to defend himself. Fine, let him testify, but it would be his word against dozens. It appears that both counsels are in agreement. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Morrison to the stand. I need to know more. I need to know a Morrison. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court.
My name's Noah Morrison. I'm the harbor master of Aronnax Harbor and union chief of the Aronnax Industrial Union.
Thank you for taking the stand today, Mr. Morrison. As you know, there was a theft that occurred at the refinery this morning. The prosecution is trying to imply that you may have been involved.
Yeah, I heard.
Could you please testify about the thefts that occurred at the union offices? It's clear you also believe they're related to the theft at the refinery. Any details that might help us prove that would help a lot.
All right.
Witness testimony.
I don't know where all these reports of hostile tensions came from, but everything's great between Drakeagen and us. Whoever this phantom is, they've got nothing to do with that nonsense. They've been hitting everyone. It's not just our offices and the ships. They broke into some of the union members' houses, too. Those poor blokes had everything stolen from them. They even had to skip town because of it. They were good people, too. Solid, law-abiding citizens.
As you can see, Mr. Morrison had very little motive to break into my client's office. The serial theft, meanwhile, has been robbing people all over the city. That's assuming the witness's testimony is true.
Take a look at the crime reports. You'll see that a lot of the victims were members of the union.
I unfortunately don't have access to the reports for those. What are you talking about? You're a prosecutor. Why wouldn't you have access to those reports?
I'm not certain.
I imagine it's related to the theft that occurred on the Imperial ship this morning. How strange. Who would have the authority to prevent a steel wind from accessing those records? In any case, Aronnax is a large city with an average rate of crime. There's nothing to prove that any of those thefts are related to this either. There isn't even anything that proves these thefts were related to each other.
We would see about that. I think I know what they're getting at. I think we already know. They were solid law-abiding citizens. Wait a second. No, they were not. Oops, I went too soon. I'm going to press their statements now.
So you say.
Look, wherever you're getting these reports, they're completely wrong.
Witness, these reports came from multiple sources throughout the course of several months. For obvious reasons, the individuals who made them will remain anonymous. But said reports came from multiple members of the common folk, aristocracy, and law enforcement. We also have several crime reports of violent encounters between your union members and the defendant's employees.
What?
What was going on here? Mr. Morrison seemed just as confused as I was. Were these reports falsified, or were these encounters happening without his knowledge? assuming that there isn't just a string of unrelated thefts.
I'll admit that Ornax is a large city. Break-ins weren't exactly non-existent before this, but all of my colleagues started getting hit after this phantom showed up. This can't be a coincidence.
It's entirely possible that availability bias is at work here. People will always try to draw trends between genuine coincidences. She was being annoyingly obtuse about this, but I wouldn't get anywhere until I could prove she was wrong. Were these homes as secure as the union offices?
Not at all. We're all just industry workers at the end of the day.
How did you get such a sophisticated security system for the union offices, then?
It was a generous donation from some friends we have in the city banking house.
The banking house?
I guess there are some folks there who believe in what we're doing.
Regardless, that means anyone could have broken into these houses. It wouldn't require an expert that's an adept at committing robberies as the Phantom is. What would motivate them to leave?
Ornax is a hot spot for trade and industry. There are lots of jobs here now, but housing's gotten expensive. I'm guessing they have a move somewhere cheaper in the countryside.
It's almost like this game has a commentary to say about the current way things are. Hello, Tempest. Hello, Tempest. Hello. Okay, break time. Break time. It's time for Cat.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it's time for Cat. Oh, it's time for Cat.
Wait, you're guessing? Did they tell you why they were leaving?
No, a lot of them were really down about it. They didn't seem too eager to say more.
I'm sorry that happened. I'm sure they were great people.
It's a damn shame. They were good people, and they had families to feed. Ornax has been going in such a good direction, too. Crime's been down, and employment's been up. I really wish we could have shared that with them.
I can understand robbing the nobility and even the merchant ships, but I can't believe they were robbing commoners, too. It's a little strange, honestly. If they were after valuables, why would they bother robbing them at all? The house of an industry worker wouldn't have much to steal, at least not when compared to the merchant ships. Maybe it was because it was easy? They probably wouldn't have any kind of magical security. Possibly, but that still felt strange to me. Hello. Okay, so ring, stolen shipments, leather strap doesn't seem to have anything. Union tensions have been supposed tensions between the worker unions in Ornax and Stephanic Dracogen. However, this has been denied by the union head of the refinery workforce, Noah Morrison. So that doesn't undo anything. The hacker nouns. We are discovering nouns never before thought possible. I think arrested insurrectionists is probably the big one, right? Last few months there have been an increased amount of Ornax citizens who have been arrested for treason. The mist-weaving phantom seems to be robbing these individuals. By doing so, they've been bringing the city's watch's attention to them. No, not that one. Hey, True Tornado, how's it going? Just our officers in the ships, they broke into some of the union members' houses. I don't know where all these reports of hostile tensions came from, but everything between Dracogen and us. Union tensions, supposed tensions, however, this has been denied by the union head. Yeah, so this can't be it because this has already been accounted for in what they were saying. Whoever this phantom is, they've got nothing to do with this nonsense. They've been hitting everyone. Okay, they have been hitting everyone. They've been hitting specifically... No, come on! Give me the hit. Tempest, hello. Hello, Tempest. Hello. Oh, hello. Hello, little baby. She's crawling on me because it's time for her stupid little meal. Hello. Hello. I'm gonna lay on you until you give me food. That's how this works. It's not just our offices in the ships. They broke into some of the union members' houses too. Can we try it with this? Okay, not this one. Was that everything stolen from them? Okay, maybe this is it because the things that were stolen were just the documents, as opposed to like the gold. Like was it that everything was stolen from them? No, it's not that. Man, there's so many things that I feel are like good connections, and we're just whiffing all of them completely. What are we missing here? What is going on? Like, hello. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Yum. Bite the hand. Bite the fingy. That's right. That's a little baby. It's a little baby cat. You can't see her because she's just off screen. We've already pressed everything. I don't know where all these reports of hostile tensions came from, but everything's great between Drake and us. Do we just start spamming here? Do we just start trying to figure out what's what? Hello. Okay. So, chat, I've been feeding cats. I've been letting you stew on it. I want your leads right now. I need all your best info. Where hostile tensions came from, but everything. Where the Phantom is, they've got nothing to do with that nonsense. They've been hitting everyone. But like, they haven't just been hitting everyone. I mean, they have been hitting everyone. They've just been hitting people in different ways. It's not just our offices and the ships. They broke into some of the union members' homes too. Those poor blokes had everything stolen from them. They even had to skip town because of it. They were good people too, solid law-abiding citizens. Like, this is the thing, right? This is a thief who calls himself the Mistweaving Phantom. They've been expertly robbing several merchant ships that were resting in Ornax Harbor. They've also been breaking into magically secured offices of the workers' unions and stealing administrative documents. They also broke into Stefanik Dracogen's office. I guess that's not exactly what they were saying on this one. Within the last few months, there have been an increased amount of Ornax citizens who have been arrested for treason. The Mistweaving Phantom seems to be robbing these individuals. By doing so, they've been bringing the City Watch's attention to them. Okay, so never mind. That's not a lie. But like, there's the fact that they're insurrectionists. I feel like that's like a law-abiding citizen. No, that's not a. What are we not getting here? What are we not hitting? Stolen shipments. They would frequently rob shipments addressed to Von Sanctus Industries from the Ornax Harbor. They were eventually arrested in Masarika, only avoided time in the dungeon by taking a plea deal. Whoever the Phantom is, they've got nothing to do with that nonsense. They've been hitting everyone. It's not just our offices and the ships. They broke into some of the union members' homes too. Those poor blokes had everything stolen from them. They even had to skip town because of it. Well, did they skip town because they stuck around here and they did the stuff? No, they didn't. I'm connecting two different groups of people. You know when you do that thing and like the music cuts out for a second and you think that you've got it? Because it's like they're not targeting ships in the harbor. They're targeting Von Sanctus industry shit. Come from everything's going between Drake and us. That's not a provable lie. So we can skip number 1. We can just skip it. Whoever this Phantom is, they've got nothing to do with that nonsense. They've been hitting everyone, which I guess is true. If you're not one of the ship members getting their cargo stolen, then you're a union office getting their documents stolen, and then there's like other random people that they're hitting that are also insurrectionists. So maybe that's not a lie. It's not just our offices and the ships. They broke into some of the union members' homes too. Those poor blokes had everything stolen from them. They even had to skip town because of it. We've done Mistweaving Phantom. We've done Insurrectionists. Feeling they have families defeated. Ornax has been going in such a good direction too. Crime's been down, employment's been up. I really wish we could have shared that with them. I can understand robbing the nobility and even the merchant ships, but I can't believe they were robbing commoners too. It's a little strange, honestly. If they were after valuables, why would they bother robbing them at all? The house of an industrial worker wouldn't have that much to steal, at least not when compared to the merchant ships. Maybe it was because it was easy. They probably wouldn't have any kind of magical security. Probably, but that still felt strange to me. So, like, maybe pointing out that they are normally... Oh, stolen shipments. Maybe we haven't touched this one. Stole a dangerous shipment from the Imperial ship the morning of Justin's death. Oh, this is specifically talking about the redacted one. Kingsguard have set up a blockade and prevented anyone from traveling in and out of Oranax. They seem to be making note of everyone in the city. Well, I'll just click it anyway because it's funny. Yeah, wait. There's no way that it's solid law-abiding citizens, and we use Masarika's past? Because, okay, that's not it. Oh, this is so frustrating. What am I missing? Frequently robbed shipments addressed to one saying this. Okay, so I don't think that matters. I think we should just take that out of our mind. I guess what we're trying to figure out, like, what do we got to figure out? What do we have to prove here? There have been supposed tensions between the workers' unions in Oranax and Stefanik Dracogen. However, they have been denied by the union head and the refinery workforce, Noah Morrison. Noah Morrison is the harbor master of Oranax Harbor and a close family friend. But we can't really prove or disprove that because it's the word of, like, we've already tried that. There's nothing here. It's just like the fact that they're hitting everyone, so like there's no reason for them to specifically be mad at one side or the other. I hate to be doing this because we should just be figuring out the answer here logically, but I'm drawing 18 different blanks here and none of them are leading to a conclusion. Tempest, help me theorize. Send me your energy. Have you tried to moon logic? The problem with moon logic is that I don't know the gravity. It could be any kind of moon. Okay, so like... we don't really use people as a thing. Open up. I should have done more to keep in contact with her. I think it would be very silly if it's law-abiding citizens, but we use the people version of Rika. Okay, it isn't. Hey, no. I left the bathroom door open for lighting, not so that you could scramble around in shells, you little creature. By the way, I know what it is I'm doing is make her become a god. And oh, well, that's very empowering. Hit him with the union tensions one on the one specifically talking about that. Okay. Let's try some more things to get rid of. Okay, so the runestone we can knock out because the runestone is never an object. Someone dissolving in molten stuff is probably not going to be a factor here. Same with Justin's ring. Same with the leather strap. Masarika's testimony probably also isn't involved here because we're talking about the mistweaving phantom and not the actual accident right now. Same with Masarika's past, even though it was called the Mistweaving Phantom, that's not necessarily the same ones. So if our evidence is comprised of Union tensions, shipping report, arrested insurrectionists, the Mistweaving Phantom, and stolen shipment. Now, I don't think that stolen shipment counts for anything here because we're talking about some like a long-term thing and not just a, hey, just now our big secret weapon was stolen thing. So I think we are down to these four. The shipping report is probably not it. I swear it has to be arrested insurrectionists somehow. I guess like them being arrested for treason is different from them being convicted of treason. The Mistweaving Phantom seems to be robbing these individuals. By doing so, they've been bringing the City Watch's attention to them. Well, let's just hit them with the... We'll just cycle through. We'll just hit all of these with arrested insurrectionists, and we'll just do our best to, note that down for later. Everything... And then I can feel really stupid when we're done here. And or I'll be very upset thinking, I tried that! I swear I did! Okay, so insurrections is not any of these. And none of the presses involved changing our topic here. So... This would be Phantom. Like I said, I hate just scattershotting this like this, but I don't have any other... I don't feel like I have any other choice right now. I've exhausted every other line of reasoning that I can think of. Folks, I'm sorry for everyone who came here to watch my analytical prowess at work. Apparently, that clocked out. It was the last one using the Mistweaving Phantom. I really don't want to contradict Mr. Morrison, but this was the only piece I had left. There was nothing else that tied the robbers together, and I still didn't have a full idea of what the Phantom's motive was. But I had to do this. It was the only way to find out what was really going on in my city. Mr. Morrison, you said that the targets of the thefts were law-abiding citizens. Unfortunately, that's not entirely true. Please don't say the insurrectionist thing. Please don't say the insurrectionist thing after having used that and like being so focused on that. Please don't say that. Please don't. Thieves themselves expertly robbing several merchant ships that were resting at Ornax Harbor. They've also been breaking into the magically secured offices of the Union and stealing administrative documents. This does not say anything about the arrested insurrectionists. Please, for the love of God, don't say that. Please, please, please. What are you talking about? I knew most of them. They were good people. They may be, but there's one unfortunate fact that tied them all together. They were all later arrested for treason against the crown. Oh. There we go. I hit my desk a little bit and decided to stutter for it. What was it? It was Mistweaving Phantom on the last statement. They were law-abiding citizens, not arrested insurrectionists. That specifically pointed out. This was okay. I think I'm fair when I miss something. I think in the past I have been, I should have gotten this. I missed that. I don't feel like this one was on me. That's ridiculous. There have been no reports of that sort submitted to the City Watch. What you're saying is crazy, my boy. I've known these people. Some of them were close friends of mine. They would never have gotten mixed up in that kind of business. I'm sorry, Mr. Morrison, but I've heard otherwise. The Mistweaving Phantom hasn't just been stealing valuable items. They've been specifically targeting citizens who were secretly plotting against the kingdom. They're part of a larger plot that involves everyone in the city of Oranax. What are you even basing this off of anyway? This testimony came directly from Lord Von Sanctus, the Duke of Commerce and the ruling Lord of Oranax. Lloyd Von Sanctus gave you this information. That's right, Steelwind. Lloyd Von Sanctus, the plaintiff of this Lloyd Von Sanctus, the man who would have every reason to have you fail. Tyrion, I may have miscalculated. But you seem to be so confident. Perhaps we should have the plaintiff testify so we can know for sure. Did Von Sanctus really set me up? How could I fall for something like that? But it made so much sense. The Phantom's targets, the false reports of hostilities, all of it seemed to tie together by some bigger plot. There had to be a kernel of truth to what he told us earlier. Maybe he was telling the truth earlier. He might testify honestly if we called him. No, these charges against Dracogen were laid by him. Even if he had told us the truth earlier, he'd never sabotage his own case by taking the stand now. We will contact the Duke of Commerce and ask if he's willing to testify, although I can already imagine what his answer will be. Uh-oh. Without warning, a large man pushed open the doors to the courtroom and marched towards the stand. Mr. Morrison sputtered a grunt of confusion before he was quickly carried out of the room by two knights who had accompanied him. The man had a large figure that was only dwarfed by the gigantic battle axe he was holding in his hand. He was covered in scars, and he held the jaded expression of someone who had lived in death and combat. His uniform was similar to the prosecutor's clothing. Could he be who I thought he was? Lloyd need not take the stand. My testimony will suffice. Oh shit, we're getting Mr. Steelwind on here a lot sooner than I expected. His emotional support axe. I use it to cut to the chase. Somebody's going to give their client a glare that can melt steel, and this is it right here. What? Who are... Father, what are you... Father? That's her dad? Lucio Steelwind, occupation Grand General, age 66, the head of House Steelwind and the Grand General of Wyvern Guards military. He is apparently responsible for the death of countless revolutionaries. He seems to have a strained relationship with his daughter. This was the Grand General of Wyvern, the man responsible for countless deaths in the countryside. Von Sanctus suspected that he was involved in the thefts and false reports. I've been watching. Neither of you will get anywhere at this rate. Grand General, this is quite unprecedented. And? It looked like the judge ran through 1,000 possible responses in his head before he simply swallowed his fear and stayed silent. Father, why are you... Again with that? I will not accept insubordination, even from you, prosecutor. Grand General Steelwind, why have you interrupted this trial? To give testimony that will substantiate the defense's claims. What? You can't just... Your Honor, do something!
No, I think I'm okay.
What was he doing? None of this made any sense. Bailiff, tackle that level 20 paladin. Bailiff, cast Zone of Testicular Torsion.
I hear no objections. I'll be giving my testimony now.
Wait, what?
This thief has been striking the houses of multiple commoners, seemingly at random, or so it would seem. And without fail, the city watch was called to the scene of the crime, within hours of the crime being discovered. It was clear someone other than the victim was reporting these robberies. Perhaps a bystander truly did make the report. And after searching each scene, the City Watch found evidence of treason within their homes. The so-called evidence was poorly hidden, if at all. These individuals were arrested by my men and placed into my custody in secret. However, they were clearly not guilty of treason.
Why was he saying so much of his thoughts? Why was I seeing so many of his thoughts? The Eye of Horus only worked on targets who were unguarded or emotionally stressed, and he looked like the least stressed person in the room right now. I guess it didn't matter who the witness was. This was just another cross-examination. I just needed to do what I've always done. Pull the truth out of him. I just hoped I could get through this without being charged with treason. No, you're being played for a fool, Tyrion. He wants evidence that you are, that you have the Eye of Horus. Or so it would seem, General.
Mr. Cuthbert, please refrain from contradicting the witness without cause.
I was just interpreting the meaning behind his words. It's clear he thinks there's some relation between the thefts. Am I wrong, Grand General?
I suppose not.
With the serial robber on the loose, the City Watch must have been getting a lot of these calls. Yes, the City Watch recognized a trend. At some point, they arrived in anticipation of what they'd find.
It was also carefully orchestrated, each piece perfectly falling in succession.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Grand General.
You've never stopped to ask yourself why. It was far too convenient. For one thing,
the victim isn't always the one to report a crime like this. More often than not, it's a passing neighbor that calls it in. A lot of reports were made by people who spotted a suspicious person leaving the premises.
And did these people make themselves known after the arrest? Did they provide testimony beyond the original report?
No, but
these reports were made in person, yet each time the City Watch was unable to find the individual who made the report. Is that normal, prosecutor?
The witness is not questioning the prosecutor. The prosecutor is questioning the witness. And that was conveniently discovered each and every time.
Yes, very easily, might I add.
Was it because the evidence was poorly hidden?
Yes. It's not uncommon for the disciplined to be so sloppy. Some are even arrogant enough to think they'd never be suspected. But the Eye of the Crown sees more than you'd think.
Like the Eye of Horus. Is that why I haven't had access to those reports?
It was a precaution. I didn't want my enemies to see what moves I was making.
Mr. Morrison testified that these individuals had simply moved out of town.
I'm sure it looked like that to him, and it wasn't too far from the truth. But they were moved by my men to an undisclosed location.
And from what Mr. Morrison said, it sounded like he had a chance to say goodbye to them, not to mention that their families left with them. That didn't sound like that would happen if they were arrested for treason. This was strange. The contradicting thought was staring me right in the face. There had to be something more to this, something I wasn't seeing. Was it really going to be that easy?
At
thief had been striking the houses of multiple commoners seemingly at random. It seemed. And without fail, the city watch was called to the scene of the crime within hours of the crime being discovered. It was clear someone other than the victim was reporting these robberies. Perhaps a bystander really did make the report. And after searching each scene, the city watch found evidence of treason within their homes. The individuals were arrested by my men and placed into my custody in secret. Enough, I will not ask you again. Okay. Did I already interpret this one? This one at the end. Mr. Cuthbert, I know you have a flair for the dramatic, but please don't shout such things at the man with the giant axe. Your Honor, I believe the witness knows more about the arrested individuals than he's letting on. Oh? Mr. Cuthbert, with the way the judge was looking at me, I'd have thought I was putting my head between the jaws of a lion. But it didn't matter who stood in my way. A noble, the grand general, or the king himself. My mother may have been gone, but there were still people I cared about in Oranax. I wouldn't let the city I grew up in become the site of another one of his bloody massacres. Lucio Steelwind, I think you know the individuals you arrested aren't what they were reported to be. You know that they weren't guilty of treason. That's correct. That's... Oh, Lucio Steelwind, why did you grab the record out of the jukebox? We were playing my victory theme. What's going on? What? What? It's so big. It's so huge. Grand General, are you admitting that you arrested these individuals with the knowledge that the charges were false? I never said that I arrested them for treason. I said that I took them into custody. But for what reason, Grand General? This phantom seems to be targeting certain individuals for some unknown reason. They seem to have targeted both Stefanik Dracogen and the Workers' Union as well. That's what I'm saying. Their targets are on both sides. Grand General, there's no evidence that it is the truth, and the evidence must be found. Your Honor, suspend this trial to give the defense and prosecution time to investigate the crime further. Of course, Grand General. As per the Grand General's request, I will be suspending this trial. Court proceedings for this case will resume tomorrow morning. Make it the next day. Court proceedings will resume Wednesday morning. Court is adjourned. So, out with it. What? You look like you want to say something. If I didn't know any better, I would think that you tried to help us back there. I can't imagine you care all that much about workers' rights or my client. The axe really streamlines the judicial process. Hey, there's little more motivating than a sharp glint in your eye. I have my reasons. This thief stole something quite important from an Imperial ship this morning. Right. Your daughter mentioned that it was a threat to national security. It is in my best interests for the item to be found, and this mist-weaving phantom brought to justice. And more importantly, I want to know who they are working for. Are you trying to insinuate that it isn't you? Is that what you think? Honestly, I don't know what to think at this point. You always seem to arrive at the truth when no one else will. I've read the court transcripts from your past cases, so I already had some suspicions. And they were all but confirmed when you cross-examined me today. You will figure out what happened this morning, and you will use your eye to do so. I tense for a moment. Why did he phrase it like that? His thoughts were so easy to read during his testimony. Was that some kind of test? Well, I'm sure someone like you would have a great use for an eye like mine. I am so sorry. I did not mean it like... I understood what you meant. Well, get to work then. I'll be waiting for your results. I don't take orders from you, Grand General. Yet you will still do what I have asked. It's in your nature. I exhaled heavily. The more this mystery unraveled, the more uncertain I became of everything. I really wished Miss Tamora was here to help me. I could feel a migraine coming on. Hey, are you okay? Yeah, I think I'm just a little exhausted. It's pretty late. Should we just head back to the inn and continue the investigation tomorrow? No, I want to take another look at the refinery before the Inquisition gets there. The throbbing pain in my skull seemed to disagree with that course of action. Yeah, no, we're heading back to the inn. I'm fine, really. Tyrion, I know you're anxious about the trial, but you need to get some rest. I felt a tinge of irritation, but I knew she was just looking out for me. But I couldn't rest now, not with that serial thief on the loose. Celeste, it's fine. It's not. You're going to work yourself. Would you just stay out of my way? Once again, my voice came out louder than I'd meant for it to. Fine. Whatever. Do what you want. It was all because I returned to Oranax. It was just dredging up emotions that needed to stay buried. That was all the more reason to get through this trial as soon as possible. The soreness in my head didn't seem to be going away anytime soon. She was right. I'd be better off investigating the scene after some rest. Saving progress, overriding the slot. Okay, that is the end of that day one's case. I think it might be a good idea for us to call it then.